society. Let's bring him in now and talk to him about the pernicious scourge plaguing communities across the country. Themba, thank you very much indeed for coming through. So, look, these recent deplorable crimes against women and children are another wake-up call for South Africans, you would agree. What do you make of the shut-down sentence strategy, first of all, in putting the spotlight on this very important issue that has caused so much pain and suffering in this country?
100%. Thank you so much for having me this morning. Addressing gender-based violence is a complex issue requiring multifaceted responses and commitment from all stakeholders, including government, civil society, and other citizens. So, as not in my name, we're in full support of the shutdown at the Sandton CBD this morning, because remember, that's the richest square mile in Africa, and perhaps people who are going out to work and going to make money will actually also be able to spare a thought for the countless number of women that are currently being abused, commoditized by men, and raped, and this current rape culture that's going on in the country.
So you think taking the fight, Themba, to businesses' doorsteps, so to speak, is the right move here?
We need to take the fight to business' doorstep, not only business, but to all stakeholders in the country. And today's one is specifically obviously focused to business, to say to them, listen, it cannot be business as usual. Women are dying in companies, in private companies. Women are being abused. Women are being used, and women are working ungodly hours, and there's not even an appreciation of that in terms of equal pay as well. And this is also a violence towards women. We are also saying that, to successfully win the battle against gender-based violence, we must of necessity realize that we cannot work in silos.
Yes.
So we need business to come on board. We need other stakeholders to get on board and fight the pandemic.
But I think, Themba, we need to emphasize the fact or the point that men need to take responsibility. As the president said last week, you'll remember, violence against women is not a woman's problem. It is not a problem of what a woman said or did or what a woman is wearing or where she's walking. Violence against women is a man's problem.
100%. Violence against women is not a woman's problem in South Africa. It is a man's problem because women do not rape themselves. It is not women who carry out the atrocities of femicide. Right. So it is us that need to stand up and call one another out, especially men in our private spaces. The derogatory terms that we use for women in our private spaces, in our gyms, in our soccer clubs, in the pubs where we stand, we need to be able to change the mindset so that we can ultimately change, the negative behavior. And I also strongly believe that we should also strongly focus on the boy child to make them understand that masculinity does not necessarily have to be toxic in terms of violence, but your masculinity can actually be used to enhance and further the emancipation of women in our country.
So how do we do that, Themba? Especially the boy child, as you mentioned, taking it back to our homes and how we talk to our children, our male children. What sort of things should we be saying?
It starts with the little small things. For example, if there's a boy and a girl in the family, it should not just be the duty of the little girl to wash the dishes after supper. They should all know and understand that, listen, we are both contributors to the family, and it is both our duty to do that. It's not a woman's duty to be in the kitchen alone. You as the man can do so. The attitude of saying boys don't cry, and making sure that the boys can also be in contact with their emotions and understand that you are first a human being, and the whole patriarchal system of saying that you are the head of the home, irrespective of whether you've got the brains to lead the home. So we need to start with our little boys, teach them those little things so that they can actually grow up without the toxic nature that the past generation did.
No, it's a material point. It's an important point. It needs to happen. But some would say it's easier said than done. How do we do it? How do we get the whole nation involved and thrust this sexual assault into the national conversation, you would agree a national multifaceted plan, I guess, to prevent gender-based violence through schools programs, as well as the workplace policies, as we've seen what's happening in Sandton City. That's the push. This is desperately needed to end the scourge.
100%. It needs a focused, it needs a perpetual, a sustained push from all stakeholders. Yeah. As we say, it's a multifaceted response and commitment from all stakeholders. So government, civil society, and other citizens. As I speak to you this morning, I'm at the offices of DECO. We are partnering with the department there. The CFO of DECO has called us in, and we are going to be addressing specifically men this morning with issues of gender-based violence, guys who get taken out from South Africa on missions who are going to work in the diplomatic corps, how to behave and what to say, because their actions out there determine on the country as well. So we need to be out there at schools. We need to be from primary level right through to high school. For example, at Notimane, next month is dedicated to the boy child. Yeah. And we'll be moving from different schools. We're starting off from Pretoria and your peri-rural areas, your peri-urban areas like Hammanskraal and so on, teaching young boys about toxic masculinity and the issues that go around gender-based violence, and making them understand that you can actually be the ones that make the difference so that we can have a South Africa that is rid of this demon.
So this engagement, this meeting that you're having with the International Relations Department is very interesting. What are some of your concerns?
Well, for example, we are going to be speaking on issues of when we deploy our guys who go out on missions in South Africa as diplomats. A lot of them leave here, probably their families, their homes, and so on, and go on the other side and misbehave as men and treat women in other countries very terribly, and that actually reflects back on our country. Others leave with their families and they go and abuse their wives on the other side, knowing that their wife won't be able to come back this side as easily. Internal structures in terms of gender sensitivity training that we are going to be offering them. And I'm so glad, that the CFO is really wanting to champion this thing and wanting to get the men in this department, conscientized with regards to the issues that we are facing as a nation.
Themba, we appreciate you coming through to the program, and thank you very much indeed, and continue to fight the fight because it is important and it matters. Themba Masango, not in my name, Secretary General. Appreciate your perspective. Thank you. All right, let's hand it over now to